lane that they want to get their ball at, and about 10 inches from the gutter, and just let it turn up.
The pre-delivery process for Tommy Jones, quite a lengthy one, and as we mentioned before, thumb goes into the ball first, then the fingers. That's unusual, and that's the ball that he picked out of the bag right at the death on the doubles. He'll be so glad he picked it. 4-bagger for Jones.
Yeah, looking rather good and rather dangerous, isn't it? Great reaction. That ball goes through the 1-3 pocket, hits the 5, bounces onto the 9. And everything else is a chain reaction.
And for all the good wins that Team Europe have had so far at World Cup 16, quite a lot of them have been convincing because the Americans just haven't turned up. I think it's the games where you can take a point against a player that is playing at the top of his game, and this one fits the bill for Larsen. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to keep the pressure here on Jones and keep striking. See if he can force the American skipper into an error.
Also, Simon, at the same time, it's catch-up time. He has to strike to stay with Jones. As long as Jones strikes, Larsen has to as well, just to stay in this game.
Frame 5 then, halfway point. And as you can see, TJ, as he has been so often in the past, is still pacing a maximum at 300. But he's not going to be rushed in his routine. He's got a really good picture now of the oil pattern in his head. He knows exactly where it's laying on the lane. He knows exactly where he needs his ball to travel. Get back into that pocket. And needs it to go, and he does. He was just a little concerned there, but it pushed through the oil nicely.
Yeah, Tommy Jones, being the US captain, picked this lane oiling pattern for the afternoon session here, session 2. It hasn't worked out so far for the Americans, but this could be the turning point. As Jones got that look on his face, that knowing look.
5-bagger for Tommy Jones. And all Martin Larsen can do is strike and wait.
Well, Martin Larsen's just taken a re-rack of the 10 pins, which he's allowed to do.
No, dumps it down on the lane, never got it wide enough. And once it got to the dry part, then that reacted straight past the head pin.
Just didn't get the width, did he? Overreaction, high through the head pin. Leaves the 3 and the 10 pin. He'll split on the right-hand side. Now the ball will either fit between these 2 pins, and he can bounce the 3-pin left-hand side onto the 10. Just like that.
That's well done, and it's still a respectable potential maximum here for Martin Larsen. He's come up against the irresistible force of Tommy Jones. Nice spare this, though.
Yeah, it has to be very accurate to slide that ball straight between the 2. I'm sure he's done that a few times in his career, but that's looking good as Tommy Jones got crosses so far.
As Parker Bowen said, he always, when he comes to a new venue, he looks for just how knowledgeable the crowd is, and he says here in Barnsley they know their 10-pin bowling, and that's why it's virtual silence here in the Metrodome. Once again on the verge of looking at something pretty special. And a televised 300 doesn't come along all that often. Jones then for a 6-pack. 6-pack it is.
Well, we're waiting. He's halfway through the game. Obviously, the most important thing on his mind is the point for USA. He wants to win this game more than anything else. Once he's got the game won, he may well consider thinking, OK, let's entertain the crowd a little bit and go as far as we can with strikes.
So he's had a turkey as Larsen, but he's had an 8-pin spare either side of that. This time works it out wider, and that's the reaction he gets. He's still bowling exceptionally well, and 268 would, you know, stand a pretty good chance of getting you a point under most circumstances.
I was going to say, Simon, yeah, don't take anything away from Martin Larsen. He's had 4 strikes out of the 6 frames. And yes, if he struck out for 260, would normally be a winning score. But he's not playing against a normal bowler, he's playing against Tommy Jones, so let's keep our fingers crossed and see how we go.
In 6 strikes then, the American captain. Look at that crowd.
Total silence, isn't
still, aren't they? They don't want to move a muscle. He continues. Doesn't look like he's going to miss.
Yeah, you're quite right. Great looking shot here. Outside of the lane, ribs back. There's the 1-3 pocket, holds pocket and takes all 10 pins away.
Well, started with 2 slightly fortunate strikes, but since then he's been right on the money. At some point though, this lane is going to transition. He's going to have to make some kind of move. Larsen trying to double up here. That's wide, and aquaplaned out in the oil. Didn't make it back. And I think now the point is going the USA's way, so that part of the equation is done and dusted.
Yeah, that ball just got away from him, didn't it, on the outside boards. Picked up a bit of lane or it was 2-4-10. It's a makeable spare.
It's a must make a spare.
Oh, and you can see how close that was.
Shaves by. Sporting applause from this Barnsley crowd, but Martin Larsen knows that that's it. He's done. And this now becomes about one man and his quest for another 300 at a Webber Cup.
Simon, I still think you're a bit premature.
Oh, come on, Cass.
No.
We've got to believe.
This is the 11th year here at the Barnsley Metrodome for the Webber Cup. They've seen 4 300s from this man. 1 from Chris Barnes and way back 1 from Paul Moore.
Wow, yeah, Paul Moore.
Yeah, more memory banks information coming out, more stats.
Fabulous left-hander from England, Paul Moore. He's here at the Webber Cup, watching. And Tommy Jones makes it a very impressive 8 in a row and nips away from the stage. That'll be interesting. Maybe he's seen something that us mere mortals haven't.
Well, Simon, I actually saw that he put that ball slightly left of his mark. He was inside where he wanted to be, and it was right on the oil line, and so it held pocket only just and got a fabulous reaction. That's another great reaction back from Martin, who's still playing for a score. But Tommy's just going to make a few little changes here.
This is when it gets interesting, when you're chasing a 300. As we've said before, not only does this lane oil move around, it gets picked up by the ball and distributed a little further down the lane. But the TV lights are something a little unusual, and they really do burn the oil. So that's evaporating all the time, and consequently, TJ has decided that now is the time for a change.
What he's done there, he's actually taken a piece of tape out of his thumb hole, which was obviously getting sort of worn away or a bit damp with perspiration, and he's put 2 new pieces in the thumb hole, pieces of bowler's tape which are there and put into the thumb hole just to tighten the grip. It may well be that last ball just came off his thumb a bit early, and you can see it was slightly inside his mark, so he wants to regroup here and get everything perfect, because one would think after 8 in a row he's now thinking, I've got this game won. Could be time to just shoot 4 more strikes.
Yeah, this is all about the maximum now for Tommy Jones and writing another bit of Webber Cup history. So change is made, not a change to the bowling ball itself, but a change to the thumb grip. And away he goes, looking for 9, Tommy Jones. And he does it. Oh, he does it brilliantly. What a delay between his last ball and this next delivery, and it was superb.
It was actually very good. As you say, you had the delay between the last shot and this one. He took his time. He knew what he wanted to do, and it's paid off. Absolutely buries it in the pocket. And ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Jones will stand up, and his next shot will be in the 10th frame with 9 strikes in a row behind him.
Larsen still pacing pretty nicely at 2.36 as his maximum, but he is now a bit part player in the Tommy Jones show.
I was just going to say, Martin wants to get out of the way, let Tommy have the stage, let him get on the approach, take his time, go through the mental preparation. And this is strike number 10. He needs to get 10 and 11 to have a chance of making 12.
3 strikes stand between this man and another historic moment on this Weber Cup stage. It really is a phenomenal record. That's why he's got the nickname here in the UK, Mr. 300. And here we go with the next instalment. It's there. It's there. Well, he's pulling faces. That looked pretty good to me, though, Cass.
One would hesitate to be critical, but I think he just dropped that one on lane a little bit early. Managed to get some width, and of course the rotation's already on the ball, and he's hit the area down the lane where he wanted. Yeah. Did I just dump that on the lane a bit? It doesn't matter. He's 10 in a row with 2 to go.
He lives for these moments, Tommy Jones. Said at the top of this game, the scene was set. The American captain looked pretty angry at the end of the Scotch doubles. I don't think he was particularly pleased with the way it went or the way his partner played. But that's bowling, that's the way it goes. But he's done well, he's channeled that anger into a fabulous series of strikes. 2 to go, Cass, and it's on.
I'll just quickly say that his last 4 victims or subjects on the end of 300s were all Scandinavians. Lee Anderson, Torgerson, Oscar Palermo and Mika Koivuniemen have all been on the gun barrel of Tommy Jones, and it's another Swede, Martin Larsen, who's sitting there. Could this be number 11?
No, this one finally hooks up through the head pin and he runs out of steam at the close. Well, what a shame for this Barnsley crowd, what a shame for Tommy Jones, because that was on the verge of being something very special indeed.
Just a little kick in the back end there, overreacted. The speed was there, but just didn't go quite wide enough. It's going to be a 289, it's going to be the highest game of the tournament so far. And another point for Team USA.
And a point they so desperately needed. Martin Larsen still has to step up, and he's bowled very well in this game with a score that in most of the singles encounters so far here at Weber Cup 16 would have claimed the point. But he knew pretty early in the piece that the man he was facing, Tommy Jones, was just finding some red hot form. So that's Jones back in business. That's Parker Bowen back in business. Is that the USA back in business, Cass?
Well, there's one more game to go in this session, and then in the next session, the lane condition oiling pattern will be picked by European captain Dom Barrett, and I would suggest that he may radically go something different to this one and extend that oil line down to maybe 40 feet.
Well, 2 of those men that I mentioned, Parker Bowen the third and Tommy Jones, will partner up for the Scotch doubles. Next up onto the stage against Oscar Palermo and Dom Barrett. So the 2 captains are going to go head to head, but for the moment it's all about the US captain Tommy Jones. Brilliant performance, 289 beats 214. It's 8-3 though still to Europe. More to come after the break.